Hello everybody and welcome to the Shakespearean Shrew. I am your Shakespearean Shrew, Karen Feiner, lover of all things Bard and Jane Austen. This podcast is a decorum be damned entrance into understanding Shakespeare's stages, for there are many and all the players on it and on this couch. So we are snuggling in today at the Mermaid Tavern at OSP, talking to some of Austen's leading men from the cast of OSP's holiday show, the Jane Austen Christmas Cracker. I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves and the characters that you are playing for the show. Take it away, who's starting?
I'm Jimmy Pike, and I play Colonel Brandon.
I am Paxton Kliewer, and I am playing Captain Frederick Wentworth.
I'm Karam Alkhatib. I'm playing Edward Ferrers.
I'm Corban Melder, and I'm playing Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy.
Fitzwilliam.
I love it. Okay, so what has been your favorite part of the Christmas Cracker so far? What, either in terms of, the performance itself or the rehearsals, etc. Favorite thing?
Well, coming in only knowing Pride and Prejudice, personally, it was getting to know who the heck my character was and what the point of him in Sense and Sensibility is.
What does he do?
Yeah, so that's probably been the most fun for me, just getting to know who the character is, not being familiar whatsoever coming in.
I really am. It is not something that I think we've fully gotten to experience yet, because we have been in the rehearsal process still. But I think what I am most excited about in this performance, in this project, is that this, more than anything else maybe I've ever done, is going to be so interactive with the audience. Like, we're going to be, because always, like, when you're performing Shakespeare, which I think, most of us do pretty frequently, so much of it is direct address, and like so much of it is like talking to the audience, but like they don't get that opportunity to like talk back and like to be there with you. So I'm really, really excited to be able to, I don't know, just like talk to the audience, because they're sitting right there. They're always sitting right there. You can always talk to them, but
we're gonna pull them on stage.
It's as real as this doesn't. So that is really exciting for me.
I did get to do this last year as well, so this is going to be my second time doing it, and I think Paxton's right on the money. The interactions, the improv you get to do with the audience is like the best part. You just get to see, it's really nice affecting people on stage no matter what it is, but it's just so different in the way people's eyes light up when like a character that they know and love is like reaching their hand out, pulling them on stage to dance with them. They get to have this moment and like more of a memory attached to the play as well, so I think that's the best part for me.
I became familiar with Jane Austen's Christmas Cracker last year as an audience member, and I knew absolutely nothing going into it, and I got pulled on stage for a dance, and it was pulverizing. And
there's a video of us. We were at the same performance. We didn't know each other.
Yeah, we both got pulled on for the same dance, and I was rewatching the video, and I was like, Paxton, is this you? And just crazy coincidence, and now we're both in it together, so that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Where's this video and how do I get it?
It's on my
Plug the gram, dude.
We will need this video for proof.
I will get it. My dialect teacher at the time was in the audience, and she was like, "Oh gosh, I need to record this. Like, he's gonna want to see this." And I think my favorite part of Christmas Cracker, the audience interaction, but specifically in the dancing. I think that there's a lot of fun character work you can do in the dances while passing by somebody, make a comment, say something. It's a very conversational opportunity, and being able to throw an audience member into a Pride and Prejudice world where it is so immersive, I'm so excited to be able to give that to somebody else and see the pulverized look on their face when they get tracked down. Yeah.
Dance with Mr. Darcy.
Yes. Oh. If you find yourself lost, just look in my eyes. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh my god, do you actually say that?
I'm going to.
Oh my god.
It's not in the script, but
I am so excited. I will be listening for it.
yeah,
Just so you know, we're there on the
19th.
great. Sounds good.
We're ready.
Hold up your dance cards.
Yeah, that's a cool addition too. The
Yeah.
dance cards. That's fun. I was like, well, didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, and it's also something with the, okay, well, first of all, there's something else that's in performance that we didn't talk about, but I'm super excited for, is the ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Brahms, ice cream and dairy. We said
I'm gonna get sick.
I'm so pumped for the ice cream.
Yeah.
But like on the dance cards, like there's going to be something new this year, where there will be slots on this on the card for all of us to sign them, and if you can get everyone's signature, then you will get some sort of prize.
Ooh.
A highly coveted Oklahoma Shakespeare prize.
Oh.
So,
right.
guys, and
Goals.
it does require multiple viewings. So you have to come back more than once. But, guys, listening at home, definitely come see Christmas Cracker. Definitely come more than once and get everyone's signature on your dance card, because it'll be well worth your time.
Yes.
Yes, I pitched it today. I was at lunch with somebody, with her and her daughter, and I was like, you know, she was talking about her past theater experience. I was like, you need to come check out OSP, and they're doing the Christmas Cracker. And they were so excited. They're like, really? And I was like, yeah, these are the dates. Get your tickets now. And they're like, okay. And I was like, oh, see? Easy sell. Especially to women. Which brings me to a question. Because Jimmy said he had to get more familiar, because the production you were familiar with was Pride and Prejudice.
It's the one they forced us to read.
Still making it sound like it was something.
Maybe I liked it, I don't know.
Do you ever like anything you're assigned to read though?
No, not in high school.
Yes.
I wish someone would give me something to read nowadays. I'd love that. But
That's the crux of it though. That's like, I feel like that's the problem. I always was the jackass who was like, I'm not reading what you told me to read. I'll read everything else, but not what you told me to read, because you tried to make me read it. And then I'll read it later and I'm like, that was good.
Invisible Man was pretty good, I guess.
So how many of you were familiar with Jane Austen's text beyond Pride and Prejudice before doing Jane Austen's Christmas Cracker?
I'm a little bit different than Jimmy in that the only one of these stories that I was really familiar with before I almost said cracking open Christmas Cracker is Sense and Sensibility. We at the University of Oklahoma, boomer. There was a production that we did during my time there that a lot of my friends were in, of Sense and Sensibility, and it was marvelous. I thought that it was really pretty and really cool, like just the costuming and the so much you can't say, like having so much that you need to say that's so desperately on the tip of your tongue that you cannot bring yourself to say in like the moment that it matters most. And then like, I don't know, just everything, it is cool. It is a really exciting world, but like not one, other than one story, I was really familiar with.
That is such a great way to explain Jane Austen's relationships.
good.
I was like, oh, that was nice. Good soundbite. I like it. But so, and the rest of you became familiar with the works as you became familiar with
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, very much.
At least we're not alone.
I don't even think I'd heard of Persuasion before doing research once getting cast. So yeah, I knew Sense and Sensibility and Emma, that's her, right? Mm-hmm. And Pride and Prejudice, I knew them, but I'd never even heard of Persuasion.
Yeah, that was her last one, the
Yeah.
last publication after she died. I don't know. Sorry, downer.
It's kind of a downer.
She's
It's
dead.
kind of a downer too. Like the whole, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Really young.
Yeah,
20 something, right?
she was
Or 30 maybe?
30, yeah, 30, what was it? 33? 34? Yeah, it was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but for that age, she was an old spinster with cats, like,
Yeah.
for that time period.
Yeah, Colonel Brandon is 35 and he's like the old man at the ball.
Right? And, yeah, no, I'm blanking on your significant other's name.
Marianne.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a whole 28 years old or 27 years old. But yeah, the old maid in Persuade, like.
Well, that's.
Oh no, that's yeah.
Anne Elliot
Yes.
is from
That's
Persuasion.
Persuasion, and that she's. I'm conflating.
And yeah, I can't remember her exact age in the
She's
story.
27 or 28 because she's been away
We fell in love, and then we had to be apart for 8.5 years.
Yes.
And
8. She's 28.
yes, and we are like reconciling now.
And then she's so old. They're like,
Yeah.
spinster at 28. I'm like, shit.
And it's so, I mean, obviously the misogyny is so real because it's like, he is so heartbroken. He's like, I have to join the Navy about this. And then he leaves and he comes back. And the way that everyone speaks about him upon his return is kind of like this, like he's kind of a man of means now. And like he has like this higher stage. He's talked about in good regard. And like as someone who is like still a catch, even though he is like, he has to be 28, 27, like the same age.
Older, yeah.
And it's just like his prospects are still just as viable. But like, yeah, to Anne Elliot, she's like, oh my god, I'll marry this guy, or I may never get another one.
Reel this one in.
Yeah.
She's a wilted flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's tough times.
But I think it's interesting because I think that is still unfortunately a pervasive concept, not maybe so much in terms of marriage and that thing, but definitely in terms of theater. Like I feel like for guys, you can keep playing the main squeeze for a really long time, but for the women, I feel like you age out quickly. Yeah. All of a sudden you become like the mom, and then the next thing you know, you're grandma.
And then you're a witch.
Like people still
lucky. You're a witch.
Like people still think that Pierce Brosnan is hot, and he's like,
He is.
I mean, you're right, Jimmy, but he's a billion. Sorry, sorry, Pierce. I'm sure you're listening, but like,
I think the craziest hot take.
Sorry.
I mean, Sean Connery is always the one that comes to mind, where you're just like, oh, you will always be beautiful.
But he was like 50 from age 35 to 70. Like Gene Hackman, they're just 50 years old for 40 years.
That's good.
So I think most of you, at least from what I heard earlier, have a southern draw, a natural southern.
Maybe
Maybe just a little bit.
I say y'all several times a day.
Oh yeah, I text y'all.
I unironically say howdy a lot.
This guy's wearing cowboy boots right now.
People,
In my working boots.
Yeah, if they're not like southern enough and they say hi to me and I'm like howdy, they're like oh. They're like why you say howdy like that? I don't know.
Do y'all do that thing where you're like driving on the road and you see someone passing and you like the one?
You give them a
of course.
I drop a
That's
pickup
the
truck.
most southern
I give
thing in
them
the
two.
world to me.
What is that?
Yeah, so you're driving and if you're passing someone and you don't want to do the whole wave, you just give them like a.
Do the half up, half
one of
down.
these.
Yeah, or yeah. Just
And it's real, because you can barely see it through their windshield, but sometimes they'll do it back.
Yeah.
And that's high praise.
I know on
That's
the East
respect.
Coast it's a different finger, but here in Oklahoma it's the index finger.
Yeah.
And there's only one.
I feel like that's also
Yeah.
it's multi-purpose.
It's basically in the culture around here.
Where was I going with this? Oh, okay. It's like I know the purpose is. So in the play, in A Christmas Cracker, you can't be Southern.
No.
You gotta be British. And so, and you've got to improv. Is holding on to that British, my brain is, what
Dialect.
Thank you. While improving, while kind of thinking on your toes, and is that harder? Same level of difficulty?
Once you're in it, once you've like started, especially once you get on the costume, the character you've been thinking about is just like birthed out of fire. It happens. And so like, I find even when we're in there asking our director Karis a question, sometimes people just sort of, it's okay if I, you just stick with it. So I think improvising with the audience, I don't think anyone's going to have any trouble sticking with it.
No.
I think the biggest thing is like just having actor brain. If you've been through a dialects class or if you've had to learn a dialect for a show that you're in, you kind of like naturally, like specifically for like awkward conversations or like asking a question or something like that, it's easier to do it in a dialect. And so working on a show with a RP accent, like right now I just find myself through my daily life talking to people in a British accent, and it's like, can I ask you a question? Like you just,
Yeah, if you don't do it that way, sure.
It kind of is like one of the most annoying things about knowing a bunch of actors and like all of my friends being actors and I'm the same. But it's like, we get into a group together and like we'll just be like
bounce the accents off.
And like I mean, it's like before we were recording. I don't know if we were she might have been recording some of it actually. But like I just started talking to you like this.
Yeah.
And Karam can attest.
We're all friends here.
I just when I'm talking to my friends or like it's just like it's easy and you just do it like and it's a joke and it's kind of like playing around and like it just you can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like doing it with your buddies.
Yeah, to me what it is like I'm never, no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to convince whoever I'm talking to that I am actually Edward Ferrers. Like they know I'm an actor, so like just like not taking it too seriously. It's like super fun. They're gonna have fun as long as you're
engaging.
As long as you're engaging and we're having fun doing it. So like I don't think like the accent actually makes or the dialect makes much of a difference for that.
I'm pretty sure it raises hotness points though. Like
we look really hot when we're out there going through it for sure.
I've seen the costumes.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
Button me up.
50% or 33% accent, another 33% costumes, and then once more 33% of posture.
There it is.
Posture, walking, like how you move, that plays a really big hand into it as well.
Dancing gracefully.
Dancing, being light on the feet.
Is this for the hotness factor or for
yes.
like the
Hotness, just specifically.
It just snowballs from there. The hotness just gets bigger and bigger.
The hotness, like algorithm.
I've been trying to hack it for a while.
It's science.
We've got it down to a science.
It's a science.
Yeah.
You were just talking about posture. I mean, you are Mr. Darcy, who is a very proud man, right?
Yes.
It's in the title. So for each of you, how do you feel like your character dictates your posture, your identity on the floor, your identity in dance, right? Because every one of Jane Austen's characters, whether it's our ingenues or our leading men, they're always nuanced. They always have these specific character traits. Are there any for yours specifically where you're like, this is this is kind of what I focused on creating that persona?
I feel like for Darcy, there were three things that I took into it to try and most accurately portray it. It's the idea of keeping myself in that very solid frame of like elevated sternum and everything, usually have my hands behind my back. That is number one, is that like tension mixed with a very conflicted inside, and how I display the inside without like speaking is through my eyes. That was a very big emphasis, at least in the 2005 film, is making eye contact and then avoiding it quickly, or having that staring a hole into somebody from a distance and portraying it through that way. And another way of portraying that uneasiness is through his hands, the hand flex, the fidgeting,
Everybody loves the hand.
Oh yeah, don't worry. You can expect some hand flexes, don't worry. But yeah, that was what I carried into it.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, to me, it's exciting playing Edward because last year I got to play Wentworth, so it was a little bit different. This year it's, you know, more shy, more reserved guy, gentle. So like, I'm kind of excited to interact with people more in that context of like, because I know other people are going to be shy, so it's going to be like like the awkwardness between us sort of thing, and showing that in the dancing too, and like, I think that's like exciting.
I think, and I know Jimmy and I think probably came from a little bit of a similar thought process from the beginning of this, is that it's a hot cast.
Get a little warm,
This is the next part of the episode.
But like our military service was like something that I thought about from the beginning with Wentworth, and you know, similarly to how you talked about just the way that Darcy carries himself, is that I think that Captain Wentworth, similarly, he's gonna have his hands behind his back. His chest is up. He's holding himself. He's very proud. He's proud of his position and, you know, the rank that he's achieved. He's a little, like all of these men, he's a little bit cold. Like he's a little bit, you know, not always there, but like he's been in love with someone for 8.5 years. And, you know, and like that fire is still there. So like, how do you walk that line of like not being cold? Or of being cold, but also like the reason that he's here, the reason that he comes back is to like be around Anne again and to say, what could you have mistaken all of this? I've only ever loved you, you know, even through like that coldness and that very like strict posture.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I'm like, how do you do that?
We'll figure it out.
Learning about Colonel Brandon and getting to know him. He's a confident and I'd say well-read intellectual man. He just doesn't have a lot to offer in the charm department, or like he's older than everyone, so it's not like they're looking to him as like, oh, well, there's an eligible bachelor. And so it's an interesting character because you know, these guys have sort of established relationships, however fraught they might be, and Brendan is coming to his in more of almost like a parent role. He's twice her age, and the whole point of it is you know, it's a financial thing because they are destitute next to basically, and so it's an interesting characterization because I don't feel like I need to be charming or handsome or anything. I just need to be a man who's been living his life, and he's just fine. I think he'd be just fine. But now this opportunity's come up to help out, and so to answer your question, it's kind of hard to figure out how he would carry himself, and so I've been working on that a lot. But you know, like Paxton said, he's a military man, so he knows how to stand up straight, and that might make him look more like a stiff board than a handsome soldier.
Yeah.
And so I'm having fun with that, not being boring, but being kind of boring. Yeah.
I just love the idea that, you know, we were talking about women's positions at that time and how that kind of sucks. Like, it's like, you know, because you're like, I'm just fine. I can live my life with or without her. Like, doesn't matter to me.
I probably have a horse and a dog, and I'm probably fine.
It's a mercy marriage.
Yeah, for both of them.
We're saying
Yeah.
nuts.
Hey, I'm doing just fine, okay?
He's kind of stable. He's got like 2 carriages.
I haven't had to buy any dresses throughout my life or anything.
Valid.
Or jewelry or anything, yeah. It's true.
Masculinity, how these men are represented. Are they still relevant? Are they dated? Are they both? Like, are there certain aspects where you're like, dated, and some aspects that you think are still kind of relevant to today?
Well, not to get political, but I think sometimes the image of of masculinity is in flux. It comes and goes, and so sometimes, I think mostly nowadays, it's more in fashion to be more open with your feelings, but then, in contrast to that, always there's someone telling you to be a man.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah, so I mean, it comes and goes, but it's always there to be a man.
I think that there's I think it's kind of rampant throughout the world and throughout the history of the world that men don't really talk about the way that they feel. Men can't really express their feelings for a multitude of reasons. Obviously the reasons that Captain Wentworth can't tell Anne Elliot that how much he loves her as soon as she shows up. It's a little bit more complicated, than just not being able to talk about my feelings. But I think that it's incredibly, relevant still, which I think is kind of the cool thing. One of the cool things about these stories is you get to see these guys, some of these characters melt. This show is watching, speaking for myself, it's watching Captain Wentworth say, hey, I don't know if I'm right about everything. And the reason that I'm here is because I love you, and I'm sorry that I couldn't say that, but I couldn't say that. And that is watching them warm up and then watching them change, because I don't know, that's something that is really special. And I think that is something that can be taken away from this, because I don't think that we do. I don't think that we do talk about the way that we feel as much. But I think that Jimmy is correct in that I think that the world is probably progressing in a better place, to where it's more, people are more, young men in general are becoming more aware of their feelings and, healthy ways to express them.
Yeah, I also think that Jimmy's correct in the fact that there's still that push and pull aspect, right? There's the, be more aware of your feelings, express yourself more, but maybe the old, ideas still exist or are still pervasive, where it's okay, that's enough, or too much emotion, or, the be a man, whatever the hell that means.
Well, a lot of times there's an overcorrection if men get too soft. There's an overcorrection, and then a lot of times if what was it, 8 years ago, toxic masculinity was the phrase, which I know it's always been around, but then there was sort of an overcorrection in that to be more open with your feelings, to be more accepting of other people's feelings and stuff like that. So it comes and goes, but I think moving forward, it grows a little more to be more open and to be more okay with having feelings.
Mm-hmm. I think something that rings true today, that is very prevalent in the show, is the men characters trying to analyze the woman's emotions and trying to oh god, how was I going to say this? It's the fear that struck into them by trying to analyze what they're not saying, and by trying to understand how they're feeling without words. Just in that human connection through that way, I feel like that will ring true for a long time, until we're telepathic or something.
I watched Darcy put himself in prison in this show, trying to articulate the nature of their whole thing, and so it's
and I love what you talked about with the eye contact and kind of connecting with eyes and hoping that it somehow transmits.
Yeah.
And, the importance of that hand clench for everybody who ever watched that Pride and Prejudice is the same reason that we love the dancing part of it. It's because those are the moments of intimacy that are allowed. Especially at that time period, those were those moments where they could touch. So it was such a bigger deal than it is now, when we're, rather touchy. It's, I do think that in a show like this, you do get to play around with those nuanced aspects a little bit more, which is kind of cool. It's not all what you say, it's also what you don't say.
Yeah.
When on stage, everything is, turned up 20%. So you really get to go through it with the captain or Darcy or Edward.
Which is what is so cool about just like the intimate nature of like the theater that we're going to be performing this in, is that if you see the show, you will be sitting, no matter where you sit, you will be sitting at one point like 5 feet away from an actor who is actively acting and like going through some sort of like moment of like drilling holes through someone with their eyes, or like brooding in the corner, or like trying to figure something out. And like you will get to see like every bit of that, because like you're gonna be sitting right there, which is so cool that like all of these little minutia moments that we're having to find of like saying what we need to say outside of our words. I feel like this is just such a good space for all of those things to be really communicated.
Yeah, and that's what I love about theater, is that the best shows, it's never look at one person on the stage and that's all you're looking at. It's always the world on the stage, and you have to kind of decide where to look. And for this production specifically, you have people existing all around you that you're listening to, watching, getting glimpses of. And so it's almost like a choose your own adventure. Like, who are you, who do you catch, and then what aspects do you see? Because I'm going to be sitting next to my Brew Michelle. Every time I say that, it's just, and we might see a different story, because we might see different aspects of it. So even though we're sitting in the same theater, right next to each other, it's going to be different for everybody in attendance. And so I think that's what's so exciting about this show. We went last year and we're so excited to go again because we just had so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The audience isn't an audience, they're guests at the same ball that we're at. So it's like anytime something happens that your character's reacting, you have to see an audience member and maybe confide in them, or maybe go, well, I don't want them to see me look so embarrassed. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And probably and really scary.
And just remember, it's on a volunteer basis, so if you don't want to dance, you don't have to.
But you should.
But you should. It's very fun to get up with everybody, and everybody's so helpful. I got up last year and I was like, oh, I'm not great at this. Like, this is not my jam. But everybody was so helpful and so nice, and it was just, it was like a line dance brought to, a Victorian age.
It's a great way to explain it.
Yeah. And the dances, like, they're all being spoken out to you. I know that, I think you guys touched on this a little bit when you talked to Aaron, but like the dances are all going to get called out. It's just, you don't have to be able to like Dougie, like nothing's crazy. It's just,
oh my god, but
it's just
can someone?
It's, if you pay attention, there may be a little bit of... Karis is listening to this and she's losing her mind. Is Captain Wentworth Dougie again? No. But yeah, no, so the dances are super simple. Like, I mean, we talked about it. Like, I got to do some of the dances last year too when I came as an audience member. It's awesome. It really is electric when you get to do it like as a guest, and I'm really excited to be a part of that, dude.
As well, we've put in the sweat to make sure that we're intimately acquainted with the dance. So you'll be surrounded by guidance, like.
And sweaty boys.
And, yes, and sweaty men. Yes. If we have to do turns too quick, you might be in the splash zone.
That's true.
It's like SeaWorld.
Yeah. Darcy got some of his sweat on me. Okay.
Extremely interactive.
Yeah, it's 4D.
And when we cut this idea, but we were going to add a sword fight at the end of the second act. And we had to cut that. So like that was going to be another area of audience.
Yeah, we just pull an audience member on the stage, give him a sword.
Wait.
Bunch of Jane Austen novels stuff.
Yeah, it's unpublished. Yeah, you don't know it. It was
Draw your sword. Good luck, patron.
A duel. Wait, is this in the script? It is now.
Yes.
Don't tell Aaron. Yeah, it's in the script now.
I mean, improv's such a heavy part of the show.
That's right.
It doesn't need to be in the script.
What's this script, Aaron, but we're just here for
There's
the
the
show.
sword fight there.
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, and like the kids, it's fun to see the kids come up and dance. They're so cute. I love seeing them because they just frolic.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is up there and we're like, oh god, we're gonna look like idiots. Here we go, and then the kids are just like, ta-da!
They don't care about social pressure. They're just having a good time.
By the end, the kids literally dance better than the actors.
Yeah. Like,
I think it's like a don't give a shitness level where they're just
Yeah.
like, I'm here for it, let's go. And I watch them and I'm like, I want that. I want that don't give a shitness level in my life. How do I harness that?
That elasticity of brain. I just wish that I had that memory, that quick memory like they do.
That too. Yeah, no.
I feel like actors specifically are pretty good at like maintaining their inner child because our entire job is just playing. So I feel like it's pretty easy for kids to relate to that in an interactive experience. Yeah.
That's a good point.
We're gifted with the imagination. Yeah. I mean, everybody. Yeah. Yeah. yeah.
Excellent.
Something to that effect. Yes.
It sounds better now.
Yeah.
Put in the accent, 33% hotter.
Exactly.
That's the math, yeah.
We've already established.
Yes.
We know the code. All right. My brain stopped.
I have a question.
Okay.
So we asked the ladies who their like Austen crush is, I guess.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
All right.
heavens.
So I'll
Ooh.
So that's a great question. All right. So yes. So in terms of like your ideal character, your ideal partner of Jane Austen's ingenues, is there one that stands out to you in terms of personality?
Well, I don't want to sound generic, but of course, Miss Elizabeth Bennet. She's rather enthralling.
That three of the ingenues thought
Yes.
the same way.
Yes.
Is that just a nod in agreement?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Marianne kind of sticks out to me, like someone who's very artistic, very hard on their sleeve, says how they feel, kind of person, and she's a lot different than a lot of the other ingenues in Jane Austen's novels.
I think that a lot of it is unfortunately, colored by Dakota Johnson's performance in the Persuasion movie. I really like Anne Elliot. I thought that she's just so, I don't know, she's so charming, and she is, I don't know. I really learned to love the character, and perhaps that is just in the being Captain Wentworth of it all. I like Anne Elliot.
I love it.
I agree with Karam about Marianne. She says a lot about a lot of characters in the script, and I was able to sort of inform myself by what she says about me to other people. Where what is she, like? Everyone's excited to see him, but no one remembers to talk to him. Like that helps me out a lot to know that. I mean, he doesn't hear her say it, but I have heard her say it, and so I'm able to use that in my performance. But yeah, she does wear her heart on her sleeve and does not mince words, and probably gets in trouble a lot for that.
Yes, she's like the toned up version almost of Lydia. I feel like.
Yeah.
That's a really
Her reaction is great.
Yes.
Quite.
Yes, indeed.
But so with I think it's interesting because she is the one, almost the only really Jane Austen character, male or female, that kind of wears her heart out on a sleeve. That's not kind of I don't want to call Lydia an idiot, but
mature.
yeah. we talked about this in the ingenues, and she's always been my my struggle. I get to Lydia and I'm like,
We're trying to love her though.
we are trying to love her. We're trying to recognize that she has a very demanding mother that has traumatized her understanding of relationships.
And she is 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's allowed to be a little bit of an idiot. But still, anyway, moving on. But so talking about this, I think there are still these words that are hard to say. Like, you said, you talked about the words, I love you. And I think that is funny and introspective because for me, oh my gosh, those are the hardest words to say. And they're just words, but they're not. They're actions, right? Saying those words is an action. In the English world of things. But so, out of curiosity, are those words things that are easy for you to say in your relationships, real relationships, not fictional relationships? Or is it still difficult? Because, like I said, usually takes me a year or more.
Well, when I was younger and maybe dumber, it was really easy to say. But as I get older, it becomes harder because you don't say it with just your mouth, you say it with your heart too, and like your whole soul. And so I'm able to think about it more now and know that you don't just throw it around. And so for these characters, it's hard to say just for their own personal reasons, but for me, it's hard to say because it's such a heavy thing to tell someone that you better freaking mean it and be sure that you mean it. And then back it up after you said it. So once you've thrown it out there, you have to take care of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
From the young and dumb side.
Do we escalate? Do we get younger and dumber down the path?
We are.
Well, from my side, there's two sides of it. In familial, I love you, and romantic, I love you. In familial, I love you, raised in a Texas household, I love you is at the end of every sentence, right? Like, it is very, very practical and common and comfortable for me to say. When it comes to relationships, it definitely is easier than what he said, in the sense that I'm comfortable with the word, and it can have so many different connotations in how you use it, and so I think for me, using so many different connotations, I do sling it around quite a bit, and there are times when it does have such a heavy gravity to it, but I would say those are pretty few and far between. Yeah.
Those are good responses.
Yeah. Like I might love someone, but I also like love Coke Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's only as deep as you, I guess, like mean it. So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have always, I don't know, I shouldn't say always. I am a very, so firstly, in my relationships with my friends and like in romantic ways as well, I think that I want to say I love you really quickly. It's not like it's necessarily in my romantic relationships, probably quicker than most people. But like to my friends, I make like a pretty concentrated effort to like tell my friends that I have made that I love them a little bit more than is appropriate, like in our friendship, because it's like you should know, like
You were loved.
In a corny way, what if no one told you that today? But so like that's important.
Yes.
Like that to me, thinking about it in that way of just being, and that's the corny way, in the dark way. What if I never see you again? What if I never see this person again? I need them to know that I felt that way, and I need them to know that they were really, really important. In my romantic relationships, it comes and it goes. Like sometimes I always want to say it, probably when at a point that Jimmy would call dumb, but like, it's different because like I've been in love before, and sometimes it's like it is the most impossible thing to say. It has been before, and in that way it's been very Jane Austen, where like I can say everything except for those words, and I can tell you your hair looks great, and like, oh wow, you're such a good dancer, and like, oh man, you're so smart and you're so funny. I cannot say I love you though.
Can you hear the words I'm trying to say underneath all of these things?
Yeah.
The Beatles said, "I've been in love before, but I found that love is more than just holding hands."
And kind of what you guys talked about too, it's like it is terrifying because it's like it is actions. I think that saying I love you is kind of like a promise of being like, I love you and therefore I am going to always seek your well-being, like when we are together in the future, always going to like do my best to look after you and to take care of you. So yeah, like that, and that is a heavy thing to say, and like you need to be sure that you can back it up. But I feel like, I don't know, for whatever reason in my life, I've always just, I guess I've just had that like belief in myself. I've been able to be there for my friends and tell them that I love them.
And
Love you too, bro.
so much love. There's so much love in this room. But like, and I think you're right though, in a sense, like for my friends, that for me has always been easier to say than romantically. Yeah, no, I had a boyfriend in high school. I won't name you for your own sake. But first date, and I was like, nope, bye. Like, I was just
That's
like,
scary. Yeah.
I was like, no, gotta go. That was our first and last date. I was just like,
Did he have a ring with him too?
it was crazy. I was just like, dude, I don't even know you that well. I'm like, sorry, I don't know you well enough to love you.
I feel like that can be one of the most pulverizing experiences. I find myself struggling with that more than I would expect. It's pretty easy for me to say I love you, like out of my own fruition, but when it's not expected, it feels like a shotgun blast, and I'm like, like.
You don't want to say it out of just like necessity or some kind
I
of
want to process
requirement.
those feelings and be like, is this exactly what I mean when I want to say this? But then by that hesitation, it's like, oh no, I don't want to offend you by not responding immediately, but
I'm just gonna pull a Jane Austen and stare at you.
yes, I'm just gonna bow and yes.
Just gonna clench.
Can't clench.
Yes.
This has been great. Okay, so I want to end by you all telling us why we should come see the Christmas Cracker. I mean, we already are, but the Shrew-niverse needs to know, why should they come see the Christmas Cracker?
Ice cream included with your purchase of a ticket.
I mean, yeah, that's a good one.
It's at least top 5 reasons.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's not wrong. But like, no, in a serious way, like, yeah, these are. If you're listening to this podcast, these are probably characters that you know. So like, these are characters that you know. Like, this is when else? What other show? What other experience are you going to have an opportunity to dance with Mr. Darcy, or to dance with Anne Elliot, or any of these other characters that are a part of this play? That is like, it's kind of magic, and I think that's really, really special. And I like that it's not like a thing that is like.
This is like the Jane Austen Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and that's really special. I can't think, there's nothing like that I know of that exists. And I think that that's really, really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, come dance, come sing, come get ice cream, come maybe 2 times, fill out your dance card and get a prize.
Limited edition.
Limited
Yeah.
edition.
There's so many reasons to come see this play.
I would say my number one selling point that I've been like pitching to my friends is it is early enough in December and a perfect way to get into the holiday spirit. I think it includes a lot of festivities. It's a lot of joy. There's a bunch of Christmas carols. It's just a great environment. It's so much fun to be in such close proximity to everything, and I mean, why wouldn't? Like, why wouldn't you? At the bare minimum, if you don't want to get up and dance, go get festive, you
We
know?
hardly talked about the Christmas carols. And that is also like such a huge part of it. We've been talking so much
There's a
about
lot
dancing,
of
we didn't
carols.
mention that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Also.
Yeah, it's sing, dance, be merry, eat Brahms ice cream.
Like,
Like,
come
it's,
on, you know?
I think for me, my favorite thing is it is an experience. It is
Yes.
something you are never going to forget. Maybe with somebody that you are never going to forget that you shared that experience with.
Absolutely.
And this is also why I'll be needing that video of you all dancing
Yeah, I'll get
so that I
for you as
can,
soon as we wrap it up. I got you.
because I know everyone's going to want to see that. But it's something that creates memories, and that's pretty cool. Something that you're going to remember 10 years down the line, more than that. You know, and you get to dance with them, and you might actually have them look into your eyes at a moment.
I
And
will. Yes. Yes.
And who doesn't swoon for that? So hopefully you will all join us. It starts December 5th, so it's coming up. Runs through to December 22nd. It is, you know, like everyone has said, going to be an amazing event, and it is selling quickly, which is really exciting, but also means you need to get your tickets fast.
Link in bio.
Oh,
Yeah. No, this space sells out quickly. So like I bet that honestly, I bet the majority of our shows are going to be sellouts for a Jane Austen's Christmas cracker.
yes, and it's very intimate, which is one of the best parts about it. It's a small space, which means you get a lot of character love.
Yes.
So, come one, come all. Please let me know if you want to hear about something next in our upcoming episodes. Otherwise, just remember, all the world's a stage, and you too can be a shrew. Thank you guys.